Reluctant but key support tonight for the U.S. Bosnia mission from Senator Bob Dole. The Pentagon tells Congress a total of 32,000 U.S. troops will be involved and to expect casualties. Also tonight, the first ever visit by an American president to Northern Ireland. And rich and richer, the man who made a computer-generated fortune twice.
This is the CBS Evening News, with Dan Rather reporting tonight from Salt Lake City, Utah.
And good evening from the Great Salt Lake. Republican leaders in Congress are giving President Clinton some of what he wants, qualified bipartisan backing for sending U.S. troops to Bosnia. Senate Majority Leader Bob Dole said today he will draft a resolution for support of the mission, but he and other Republicans made it clear they still don't like the plan. From Washington, correspondent David Martin begins our report.
Good to see you today. Glad to see you.
The president's top national security advisors worked the halls and hearing rooms of Congress today, seeking political support for a military decision that's already been made. The first plane load of troops goes into Bosnia Sunday night.
No matter what the United States Congress thinks about this at this particular time, or the American people, this deployment is going to happen.
Except for second guessing, the arguments are largely over.
Much of the guessing is about the casualties American troops might suffer as they patrol a zone of separation between the warring parties.
And there's going to be potential enemies on both sides. There's going to be potential terrorists on both sides. There's going to be potential snipers on both sides.
Defense Secretary Perry suggested casualties would be lower than the 60 soldiers the UN peacekeeping force lost each year in Bosnia. U.S. troops will be better armed and the fighting has stopped. But Perry acknowledged the danger is still there.
The hatred and the desire for revenge is our biggest enemy there, and it's a deeply entrenched, very strong issue.
Nevertheless, both Perry and Joint Chiefs Chairman Shalikashvili told a skeptical committee the U.S. military could accomplish its mission and pull out in 1 year.
I don't see how in the world, after hundreds and hundreds of years, you're going to accomplish this in 1 year.
Secretary of State Christopher pointed out that just a few months ago, Congress had been berating the administration for not doing enough in Bosnia.
You said we thought we had it all backwards and we ought to be more assertive. Well, we've been more assertive. And now we're coming to you asking for your support.
And this afternoon, Senate Republican leader Dole grudgingly came through, announcing he would introduce a resolution of support almost against his better judgment.
We have one president at a time. He is the commander-in-chief. He's made this decision. I don't agree with it. I think it's a mistake.
Dole said he hopes the resolution will pass in time for the December 14th signing of the peace treaty that will send the main force of 20,000 American troops into Bosnia. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Defense Secretary Perry also raised the estimated dollar cost of the mission to $2 billion. He said it will involve 32,000 American troops, 20,000 on the ground in Bosnia, the rest on the ground in neighboring countries. The first Americans are already preparing the base camp in Bosnia. CBS News correspondent Bob Simon moved out from there today to look over the front lines.
American advance teams were checking out the Tuzla Air Base today, looking for mines, measuring the length and thickness of the runway, bringing space-age technology to what is an archaic conflict. Bosnia is where the First World War began, and today's tactics are a throwback to 1917. 40 miles from Tuzla, Bosnian soldiers slog through their trenches. There are no Americans here, not yet.
With the possible exception of Sarajevo, this barren plain is the most hotly contested real estate in all of Bosnia. And in a few weeks, the Americans will be right in the middle of it. It's called the Brčko Corridor. We're here with the Bosnian army. The Serbs are 200 yards away. It's the one issue which could not be resolved in Dayton.
The soldiers all come from Brčko, just a couple of miles away. The Serbs took over the town when the war began. All these men want is to go home, and they're counting on the Americans to help them.
When the first Americans show up here, what are you going to say to them?
Welcome.
Welcome. The American people are very worried that American soldiers, when they come here, are going to get killed. Do you think that's going to happen?
No way, they say. The Serbs wouldn't dare. They're cowards. They're afraid of good armies like the Americans and us. The ceasefire is holding here. These days, the enemies just shout at each other. But every one of these men carries scars which will never heal. Faruk Begic was a postman in Brčko. His 3-year-old son was killed by the Serbs. His mother died of grief. But there has to be peace, he says. We can't live like this anymore. This is the bleak landscape the Americans will roll into, and this is the vicious paradox. People who want peace desperately, but who will never forgive or forget. Bob Simon, CBS News, Birchgo.
For his part, President Clinton spent much of the day urging an end to religious and ethnic-motivated violence, not in Bosnia, but in Northern Ireland. Underscoring the point, the president spent the night at the Belfast Europa Hotel, long known as a popular spot for tourists and for terrorist bombers. Rita Braver is traveling with the president.
It was the first visit ever of an American president to Northern Ireland, and every stop became a political symbol. At his major speech of the day, President Clinton was introduced by two children, a Protestant and a Catholic, 8-year-old Catherine Hamill, whose father, she said, was killed in the conflict.
It was the saddest day of my life. I still think of him. My Christmas wish is that peace and love will last in Ireland forever.
The president followed with a call for support of the agreement for preliminary peace talks that was struck earlier this week, though he acknowledged there are some who don't want the violence to end.
But you, the vast majority, Protestant and Catholic alike, must not allow the ship of peace to sink on the rocks of old habits and hard grudges.
But despite talk of togetherness, Mr. Clinton was visiting a nation divided. A visit to a Protestant enclave was carefully balanced with a stop in a Catholic stronghold. And with the Irish Republican Army's refusal to give up its weapons still a major issue, the president had a prearranged Let's Work Together meeting with Jerry Adams, leader of the IRA's political wing. Security was intense, the crowd so heavy a Secret Service agent was overheard urging the president back in the car. Local papers called it Clinton fever. In Londonderry, where some of the deepest hatred has festered, they love Bill. And this president of Irish stock clearly loved them. Nevertheless, even the president's advisors privately acknowledge that they don't know if this visit will have a lasting effect on the peace process. But as the president lit the huge Christmas tree sent from Tennessee to downtown Belfast, he closed with the famous verse, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall inherit the earth." Rita Braver, CBS News, with the president in Belfast.
And the CBS Evening News will continue from here in Salt Lake City as we visit another of our strongly news-oriented CBS stations, KUTV Channel 2. Still to come on the broadcast, the government says General Motors will recall 500,000 cars for belching pollution at illegally high levels. And Eye on America, why this country's best medical innovations are increasingly fueling Europe's health and wealth at your expense.
Oh, this is great.
Merry Christmas.
It's perfect.
Yes, there is a Santa, the Norelco Santa. Come to town with great gift ideas for the holidays, like the Maverick beard and mustache trimmer, for just the look he wants. The Norelco Speed Razor for close and comfortable to go. Or Santa's favorite, the Norelco Triple Header for our closest shave ever. The perfect gifts for the perfect look. Norelco brings you closer for the holidays.
You're going to have to open that bag, ma'am.
Well, if you insist. Plump, delicious Sunsweet bite-sized pitted prunes. Sunsweet, always a sweet idea.
Oh, well, I'm the kind of light for your holiday list. I'll help you in so many ways. I'd make the perfect gift, 'cause I'm the snake light from Black & Decker. I get around, around, around. I'm the snake light.
For the first time ever, American automobiles are being recalled for environmental reasons. Hundreds of thousands of Cadillacs. The government says the GM cars put out enough illegal pollution to blanket a major city with a 10-foot thick cloud of carbon monoxide. Bob Orr has the story.
General Motors late today agreed to recall almost 500,000 late model Cadillacs, which the Justice Department says have been violating federal clean air laws.
These cars have poured carbon monoxide into the air at 2 to 3 times the legal limit.
An investigation by the EPA found that GM in 1991 began installing this chip to improve the Cadillac's performance by defeating pollution control devices.
These illegal devices caused enough additional air pollution to blanket downtown Washington with a 10-foot thick layer of carbon monoxide.
The recall will affect 470,000 Cadillac Eldorados, Fleetwoods, DeVilles, and Sevilles manufactured from 1991 to 1995. GM has agreed to bring the cars into compliance with clean air requirements. The cost to General Motors will total nearly $45 million, with almost half of that going to pay penalties. In announcing the settlement, Attorney General Reno sent a clear message to the entire auto industry.
It is simply not fair to burden people's health to improve the sales appeal of automobiles.
General Motors disputes the allegations and says the penalties imposed are too high, but apparently not high enough for the nation's largest automaker to risk a court fight. Bob Orr, CBS News, Washington.
The Pacific Northwest is finally getting a break from the weather. The rain eased up today after 3 days of downpours that caused flooding along every major river in western Washington state. John Blackstone has the pictures and the story behind the storm.
The flooding is blamed on a weather system forecasters call the Pineapple Express. Warm, wet air from the South Pacific blowing unusually far north, bringing heavy rain and melting mountain snow. Along the Skagit River, runoff poured out of the mountains almost like a rising tide today. Emergency officials called for volunteers to pile sandbags as the river rose close to the top of dikes.
What we're going to do is put you out on the dike. We've got a small breach out on the dike.
In the town of Mount Vernon, they did what they could, then waited for the river to crest. Residents feared the Skagit would go even higher than it did in disastrous floods that hit the area 5 years ago.
It wasn't this bad in 90. I think this is the worst I've seen it anyway.
Interior Secretary Bruce Babbitt toured the flooded areas today. So far, there have been no deaths or serious injuries reported, but Washington's Governor Mike Lowry has declared a state of emergency in 14 counties. Finally, relief is on the way. A cold front moving in has reduced the rain to a drizzle and is slowing the runoff from the mountains. But as the rivers recede, a hard job begins of cleaning up and counting the loss. John Blackstone, CBS News, Renton, Washington.
Coming up, Newt Gingrich and a violation of federal election law.
Finally, great popcorn from your microwave.
Power Pop.
Presto Power Pop Microwave Multi-Popper.
Power Pop.
Pops virtually every kernel. Pop with oil, pop without oil. Nothing pops like Power Pop. That's why it's endorsed by Orville Redenbacher.
Power Pop.
From Presto.
Salad shooter helps you every day.
How about some cheese for your pizza or perfect salad shooter hash browns for breakfast? Vegetables sliced or shredded, and nothing tops a salad like
Salad shooter.
Slicer Shredder from Presto.
Helps you every day.
When we heard there's a hot cereal with crunch, we said great. But how? Then we tried grape nuts cooked hot. Just add milk and pop it in the microwave.
60 seconds for a little crunch.
I want a big crunch.
30 seconds for a big crunch.
We thought all hot cereals were the same.
Mushy.
Yeah.
But not grape nuts cooked hot. All that warm goodness plus that hearty, nutty crunch make it taste so different, so good, so...
Now Mom's getting mushy.
Yeah.
Discover Grape Nut cereal cooked hot. Finally, a hot cereal with crunch.
You ready?
Yes. Tell me what you smell.
I have no idea.
You're really stuffed. Yes.
I have a nasal spray I want to give you.
Now what do you smell?
That's an orange.
You got it. Curious about the product? Dristan. Dristan 12-hour nasal spray.
Man, I can breathe.
How much closer are our precision heads? Our innovative lift and cut system? How much better is the latest Norelco? In a word, we've never brought you closer. The Norelco Razor, our closest shave ever.
Why are these Japanese women so excited? They just got a fresh supply of U.S. goods. And get this, no barriers, no quotas, just huge sales for American companies.
Why do you buy from an American company?
It's more than cheap. It's a big boom for U.S. companies. How's it happening? Find out tomorrow on the CBS Evening News.
House Speaker Newt Gingrich unloaded scathing criticism today against a watchdog federal agency. And it was personal, at issue a finding by the independent bipartisan Federal Election Commission that Gingrich received improper financial help from a lobbyist-funded political action committee 5 years ago in a tight election race. Eric Ingberg has been investigating.
In 1990, long before he was Speaker, Newt Gingrich barely held on to his House seat in a squeaker of a Georgia race. Now, the Federal Election Commission charges in a lawsuit that GOPAC, a key Gingrich group supposedly set up to boost Republicans in state and local races, improperly funneled money to congressional candidates, including Gingrich himself. The FEC said that GOPAC's actions created the appearance of corruption. As evidence, court documents quote GOPAC officials saying during the 90 campaign, we're supplying $250,000 in Newt support per year.
It is totally phony. That should answer all the questions you have. The FEC allegations are phony.
Democrats stepped up pressure for a full ethics investigation led by an independent counsel.
Not only was GOPAC Newt Gingrich's own multi-million-dollar personal slush fund, it was a backdoor channel that political donors could use to funnel millions of dollars to Speaker Gingrich in exchange for political favors.
Documents uncovered by the FEC show how GOPAC fundraising was helped by Gingrich's legislative position. In one letter, real estate magnate Miller Nichols, citing his $59,000 gifts to GOPAC, asks for help with asbestos regulations that are, quote, costing my company millions and millions of dollars. Gingrich responds 6 days later, I will look into it. There's no evidence Gingrich ever did anything about the asbestos complaint. But the mountain of evidence amassed by the FEC suggesting GOPAC involvement in federal campaigns, including his own, could pose the most serious ethics problem yet for the Speaker. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Washington.
Coming up next, Eye on America. Why is this country's wave of medical innovation winding up in a high tide of profits overseas? And later, a computerized cowboy, a cash cow, and a virtual business success.
Good idea. Season's greetings from your friends at Ricola.
Oh, well, I'm the kind of life for any job you do, any job that needs 3 hands, but you've got only 2, 'cause I'm the snake light from Black & Decker. I'll get around, I'm the snake light.
There are many prescription pain medicines, and a doctor can prescribe any of them. Yet 82% of doctors surveyed have prescribed Arudis. And now, for the first time, it's available in a non-prescription strength. New Arudis KT. It's so potent, just 25 milligrams is as effective as 400 milligrams of Motrin IB, 440 of Aleve, or 1,000 milligrams of extra-strength Tylenol. New Arudis KT, the potent medicine for pain.
Yeah, it's true. People prefer the taste of Crispix Mix to the usual party mix. But does that really make a difference?
Look at the time.
I've got to get to my aerobics class.
Right.
She's got a headache.
Crispix Mix has a special recipe, that unique Crispix cereal look.
More Crispix Mix?
And that exceptional taste guests prefer. So this year, make Kellogg's Crispix Mix and party on.
The next time you go to the dentist, he can improve the way you care for your teeth and gums without drilling or buzzing a thing. And all you have to do is this. Introducing Crest Plus Gum Care. It not only helps fight cavities, it can actually control the bacteria that harm your gums. It's the only toothpaste proven to help get your gums healthier. New Crest Plus Gum Care. It's just what the dentist ordered.
There are heroes, but what happens when they cross the line?
I was truly afraid she was going to be killed.
Athletes and violence. 48 hours tonight.
A Social Security appeals panel has denied survivors' benefits to a little girl in Louisiana. Reason, she was conceived after her father died from cancer. Christine Hart, now 4 years old, was conceived with a frozen sperm sample donated when her father learned he had cancer. Social Security officials ruled Christine is not legally her father's child. This is just the latest example of the growing gap between the expanding frontiers of medicine versus what is legally and even ethically permissible. Another case in point, tonight's Eye on America, reported by health correspondent Dr. Bob Arnott.
And liftoff. When it comes to technology, America has long prided itself on being the first, the best, a world leader. But in medicine, that lead may be slipping away.
Clearly, we were the leaders as it relates to medical technology. But over the last perhaps 10 years, we have seen a shift of that leadership overseas.
Last year, the most creative talent at Medtronic, a medical technology leader, worked here in Minneapolis. Now they work in Holland. The company shipped its entire New Ventures group overseas, including Tom Baker.
It's important to the company that we get on with what we have to do. And at this point in time, it just happens to be a lot more straightforward to do that in Europe.
Medtronic's last 15 major products were first introduced in Europe.
We can collect the data, submit the data to the approval authority in Europe, and get approval to market that device in about 3 months after we submit the data. The same study with the same device in the United States could take a year and a half, 2, 3, or even more years.
It's not just giant Medtronic that's left for greener pastures. A recent survey found that nearly half of U.S. medical manufacturers report increasing research and development in Europe, while industry employment in the U.S. has stagnated or even fallen.
Who's to blame for the exodus of medical know-how and money to Europe? Industry CEOs cite quick-to-sue lawyers, government and managed healthcare plans that won't pay for experimental technology. But at the top of their list is the Food and Drug Administration.
A lot of this bureaucracy is needless.
Republican Senator Bill Frist, formerly a heart surgeon, has introduced legislation to overhaul an FDA, which he says has lost its mission.
I have been in a situation operating on a patient, giving them a device that is not as good as almost the exact same device, but an improved device that my colleague in another country is putting in.
The FDA's Susan Alpert says, while the European system is set up to get new products to market, the FDA's primary role is to protect the patient.
The mission of the FDA, the work of the FDA, is intended to assure the American public that products going into the marketplace have been adequately tested, that we know their safety, and we know how they will perform.
Cleveland Clinic surgeon Toby Cosgrove developed a heart valve that's been approved and used only in Europe for 4 years.
We certainly have seen the FDA become more and more cautious progressively, and the hurdles that they put before heart valves have become greater and greater as time has gone on.
I think American patients, if you like, are overprotected. The number of heart valves you have in America is restricted to a handful. We have many to choose from in Great Britain.
American inventors, including artificial heart pioneer Robert Jarvik, come to Steve Westaby, a surgeon in Oxford, England, to test their products. Ironically, the artificial hearts may be one reason for the FDA's caution. An earlier model of the Jarvik heart was implanted with great fanfare in Barney Clark in 1982. But 112 days later, Clark died. The FDA has begun streamlining its approval process. But as automobiles, VCRs, and TVs have taught us, once the technological edge is lost, it may never be regained. In New York, this is Dr. Bob Arnott for Eye on America.
Federal health officials acknowledge today that their newly released AIDS awareness advertising campaign is frank, maybe too frank for some people, but they emphasize they believe it's important to keep in mind the message is meant to get American teens and 20-somethings to use condoms or abstain. Accusations today that a phone company successor of Ma Bell is acting more like Big Brother. NYNEX now admits it has secretly recorded thousands of private telephone calls originating in New England and New York since September without customer knowledge or consent. NYNEX says it was for, quote, quality control, not eavesdropping.
Hey, Remington, shave this.
The newest Remington Triple Foil. The only shaver with 3 micro screens now has a 50% greater cutting rate for a close, smooth shave. The Remington Triple Foil. If you can grow it, we can shave it.
Outside of this box of Russell Stover candies, life has changed in the last 70 years. But inside, very little has changed. We're still using our time-honored recipes and only the finest ingredients. That's why we can guarantee freshness and home-fashioned goodness in every piece. Nobody does chocolate like Russell Stover does chocolate.
Every holiday season at Mailboxes, etc., 2 customers bring in 30 dozen shortbread cookies for us to package and ship for them.
I do most of the cutting and she does all the finishing touches. And we both watch the oven.
They have to be packaged very carefully.
They don't even jiggle. They don't juggle. They fix them, stabilize them.
They got their all in one piece.
Not even a grain of sugar off.
Depend on mailboxes, etc. It's not what we do, it's how we do it.
For 15 years, we've taken good care of each other.
We sure have.
And to take better care of our health, we've started drinking Ensure.
Ensure is recommended #1 by doctors as a source of complete, balanced nutrition.
More than a vitamin supplement, Ensure has all the nutrients adults need to help stay healthy, active, be energetic.
Drink Ensure as a meal.
Or in between meals. Ensure. To your health, honey.
To our health.
Ensure, recommended #1 by doctors.
These vegetables are about to be perfectly steamed, like food has never been steamed before, in the Black & Decker Handy Steamer. Because deliciously steamed food requires perfect timing.
And finally tonight, an American success story. A few years ago, the man was selling apples. Now he's worth a fortune. Edie Magnus takes stock of the entrepreneur who turned small electronic images into huge paper profits.
Red alert! Andy is coming upstairs! Andy's coming, everybody! Back to your places, hurry!
A computer-generated boy and his toys have made their flesh and blood owner a very wealthy man. Stephen Jobs is 40, and overnight he's become a billionaire. Jobs' company Pixar Animation went public yesterday, and investors went wild.
Pixar is really the first place that has been able to blend the high technology culture of Silicon Valley with the creative culture of Hollywood.
The company's first movie, Toy Story, opened this week, a smash at the box office and a whole new kind of computer movie making. From a childlike sketch come three-dimensional characters of incredible sophistication.
We make computer models right on the computer of every character, prop, and set in the film. And then the animators, if you will, act the characters. And when all of that is done, when the animators have done their magic, the computers do the drawing.
Draw! Oh, got me again!
It took 300 computers running around the clock for a year and a half to make Toy Story. And Pixar's success has contributed to a storybook year on Wall Street. Investors can't get enough of these stocks.
They want to have investments in companies in high technology that are exposed to new and exciting areas, like the internet or entertainment and Hollywood.
And beyond!
Stephen Jobs' fortunes have had their own ups and downs. He founded Apple Computer in a garage in the 70s, only to find himself forced out of the groundbreaking company a decade later.
One of my friends told me one time that overnight success stories take a long time.
What's important, he says, is to take risks, to go out and do some stuff and find out what works. Once again, it seems he has.
Fastest knobs in the West.
Edie Magnus, CBS News, New York.
And that's part of our world tonight. Later on 48 Hours, an investigation of violence in athletes. Are big-time athletes allowed to play by a different set of rules? 48 Hours, violent athletes. That's tonight at 10, 9 Central and Mountain. Dan Rather reporting from Salt Lake City. A special thanks to everyone who's been so hospitable here in Salt Lake City and to our news-centered CBS station KUTV Channel 2. I'll see you again soon tonight on 48 Hours.
CBS News. Have you seen your country today?
Only one way to build a great truck, and that's by experience. No other truck